guys, it's Andy from Total Season Outdoors. I apologize for the lack of an intro in this video, so I'm going to do some quick narrating throughout to try and give you an idea of how this all unfolded. So I drove up to Michigan on May 9th with my kids and dropped them off late at their grandparents' house, got a few hours of sleep, and got back on the road for the 2-hour drive to the piece of property I was hunting in southern Michigan. As soon as I got there, it's just starting to get light in the woods, and on advice of the landowner, I went behind the cabin on about a 40-acre piece, and owl called at the edge of a cut cornfield down into a big creek bottom, and sure as heck, a gobbler answered. So I generally knew where he was, and I made my way into the woods. I was probably 120 yards away when I actually sat down, and luckily I didn't go much further because I did end up seeing this bird on the limb, and I think if I had gone another 10 or 15 yards, he probably would have spotted me. This is probably one of the most vocal turkey hunts I've ever been on. Typically, call up the tom, and he gobbles a few times, and you start to work him in. Well, you'll see in this video that both the tom and eventually a hen that I run into are extremely vocal, and I think make it an interesting episode in that I compete with the hen the whole time, but end up using the hen to pull the tom in my direction. So despite only being able to film with the GoPro and having to chase this bird around a little, I will say the GoPro did a great job capturing both the tom and eventually a hen I run into, helping to educate myself and hopefully other hunters on what these birds sound like and how you can use that hen to hopefully pull that tom into range rather than the usual circumstance that I've had where she just pulls him away. I hope you enjoy the hunt and leave a comment below. And this is the point in the video where I confirm that I'm competing with a live hen. You may have heard her a couple seconds earlier when I crest the top of that embankment and begin to call at the tom, she answers back right away. Now, I realize that I'm not exactly sure where she is. I know she's between myself and the tom, and I got to get eyes on before I can keep moving up and try and close the distance with this bird. For the next minute or so, you're going to hear this hen and I go back and forth trying to convince this tom that we're the better choice. Now, next to a gobbler at 20 yards, just hammering away in front of your setup, this for me is almost as fun as it gets. The hen and I went back and forth, and she's cutting and yelping back at me the entire time, and eventually closes the distance with my setup to about 3 paces. Now, that was a little too close for me. I had a feeling that might happen, but I also knew it was probably the only way I was going to get that tom. It ends up happening exactly like that. She gets upset that I'm there, continues to challenge me every time I call, and eventually closes the distance with the tom in tow. And if there's ever a better example of how to mimic a hen, I think this series of vocalizations is really a good pattern to imitate. Yes! Got him! Let's go. Oh man. Finally dropped my call. Let me get myself squared away here. Behind the dang barn. Man, got here this morning to southern Michigan, and then I heard this bird gobble basically up in one of these trees here right on this creek, and I walked in, and then I got a little close and actually saw him on the limb, and I got down and got set up, and right after I did that, I clucked at him a few times. He gobbled. I was like, all right, he knows I'm here. So then got set up,
5 minutes later, I hear him fly down, and I call again. I could hear that he pitched to the opposite side of the creek. So I kind of let him work up into this kind of oak flat up here, and then I worked my way back around this creek and got up on the other side of him. And as I got up there, I could hear a hen clucking. And so I'm calling at her and she'd call back, and we went back and forth. And he was kind of going south away from us. And as soon as she started to kind of go back and forth with me, he turned around. I could hear him coming back in our direction. So I figured, man, if I could get her to just walk my way, he'd follow. And sure as heck, I got her clucking. And I know you couldn't see it because I had to switch to the GoPro, but you could probably hear her, and she got right up to me, maybe like 4 or 5 yards away. And at that point, he was held up at about 40, and there was a little swale between the hen and I and the gobbler. And so I waited. That hen she never got scared, but she kind of stopped and clucked around, never sent off any kind of warning call or warning yelp. And I let her kind of ease off just a bit, and he came up, and as soon as I could get a clear shot at him coming up over the little drainage that was in front of us, I shot, and he went right down. Probably a, I don't know, 40-yard shot, 42-yard shot. But I finally did it. It's been quite a season. So yeah, gotta love it. Done here. What time is it? Done in Michigan at 6:44. So that's not bad for having a bird down. He's probably a 2-year-old bird, doesn't have giant spurs, but he's a big Michigan bird. I mean, he's heavy. But I'm fired up, man. It's been a rough season. Yeah, we finally made it happen. So anyway, awesome morning. They've had storms up here. They had tornadoes here like 2 days ago on the other side of the state, on the west side of the state. I'm probably right in the southern middle portion. And then it rained a lot yesterday, and I thought, man, that they'd get off the roost and want to gobble pretty good after all that rain. And sure as heck, this one certainly did. So we'll get him tagged up and go from here. Whew. Yeah, baby. So he's got decent spurs. They're probably, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch or so. But big bodied Michigan bird. Real good beard. Get him all measured up at the truck.